Hey YouTube, welcome to part number 15 of my NixOS configuration series. In the last couple of videos, we were looking on how to create your own packages and how to build a Go project, how to build a Rust project, and so on and so forth. Another important part besides building your own packages in NixOS is to actually use packages that are available in the Nix packages repository. So when we have a look at the Nix package repo, you can see it claims that there are more than 100,000 packages, and it's also very up to date when it comes to package versions. But sometimes you will need a certain version of a package, or even the unstable branch of NixOS is not really good enough for you. In today's video, I will show you how you can actually modify packages that are available on Nix packages and change some of the attributes in order to be able to run another version that is not yet available on Nix packages. So let's dive into it. The package I want to use as an example is initn. It's a source available workflow automation tool I use all the time. And if you have seen some of my other videos that are not about NixOS, you can see that it plays a very central role in what I'm doing. And I use it a lot for automating my own workflows and also to build workflows for clients. And it's a great tool. So we will take this one as an example. What I have done so far, just to start with a simple example, is I went into our flag here. We have also available on the Git repo. And I went into my user folder and home.nix, and I just added initn to the list of my home packages. So when I go to my virtual machine and I just run initn from the terminal, you can see that it starts up, and currently we are using version 1.75.0. And we can just press O to open a browser window. And as you can see, I get the initn interface, and this is an example workflow for an AI agent that can use different tools and so on and so forth. And we can also see the version number here. When I go to Nix packages and go to the unstable branch, you can see the latest version on the unstable branch is 1.61.0. The one I had logged into my flag was 1.57.0. But initn is a very fast moving project, and it will get updates very often. And I want to keep it as up to date as possible. So when I head over to the Git repo for initn, you can see the latest version is actually 1.62. And if we go to the releases page, I want to grab the latest stable one for now. So I will just go for the 1.63.0. And that is barely a week old now. So there are a couple of ways to approach this. I mean, of course, you could just go into Nix packages and have a look at the source code and actually just copy the code for the package to your local packages directory and just make the modifications in the source code. But that sounds like a lot of work, and that's also something that takes more work in maintenance, because when the project moves forward, it could be possible that the dependencies change or that something in the build process changes. And that would be something you would always be forced to integrate into your own custom package. And the more elegant way is offered by NixOS in the form of overrides and overlays. When we have a look at the Nix packages manual, I find it personally a little bit abstract here. So, for example, the NixOS wiki makes a much better job to explain what overlays are. Basically, what overlays allow you to do is to take a package and to put custom definitions on top of it. And you can also do multiple overlays on top of each other. And in the end, the overlay function returns a package to you where the overlays you have defined in the function are applied to the attributes. And that enables us to modify packages on a very deep level without copying and pasting the whole derivation or package definition. The other way to modify an existing package is an override. And this is also mentioned in the NixOS wiki. And in this example here, there is a function override attributes, which allows us to basically switch out the source code for a new version. And that's also what we will do to our initn package. And I will show it to you step by step. So we will start with the simple override, and then later on we make an overlay, and I will explain to you what the advantages and disadvantages are between these methods. What I would like to start with is I would like to create a custom package that's basically using an override to override the version of initn here. So I go to my packages folder and I create a new folder and call it initn custom. And within that folder, I make a default.nix. And one level above in the packages folder in the default.nix, I will prepare an import here. So I will just do initn custom and use the call package function to call our self-defined initn package here. Then I head back to the default.nix, and then I will just have a look at the source code for the original package. And as you can see here, the original package fetches the source code from GitHub. And there are also npm dependencies that we also need to consider here. And for now, we will start with the very simple function definition. So we pass in initn from Nix packages defined in our Nix flag. And on initn, we call the override attributes function here. And then we can just start to modify the attributes we want to. So we pass in the program name. And as we are passing in the old attributes over here, we can just refer the new name to the old name. And for the version, we can just specify the version we just found here on initn. And then we can put in the source argument. And as you can see, the fetch from GitHub is marked as an error. And that's because we need to pass this into the function here. And because we have made this recursive set, we can refer down here to the version. And when we have a look at the repo here, you can see that initn always tags the versions with initn add and then the version number. And of course, we also need to reflect that in our package here. The hash we don't know yet, so we leave it empty to get a fake hash from Nix. And for the npm dependencies, we also include the pnpm depth block that we had found in the original package here. And the hash for this we also don't know, so we leave it empty to have a fake hash here for Nix. And of course, we also need to have pnpm from Nix packages as an argument here. And that's basically it for modifying the package right now. After we have added the files to our Git repo, I will just quickly go to our home.nix file and just use our created package here. And now we can basically rebuild our NixOS configuration. And of course, the first thing we will get here will be errors for the hashes because we don't have specified them. So let's rebuild our configuration here. And this gives an error because this doesn't belong into the fetch from GitHub function. So quickly fix that. And now we get a warning that there were 2 empty hashes here. And now we got the warning for the first hash. So we can just copy that from down here and fill it in. And run it once more. And now it will try to fetch the dependencies from npm. And when everything is downloaded, it will try to build the package. And of course it will fail because the calculated hash will not match the empty hash we have provided. And now we get our second hash here. and we can just copy it into our package definition and once more rebuild our system configuration. And now it's rebuilding. And this goes a little bit faster than usual. If you use the same package definition as I did here and you didn't have the exact package version of NetN on your system, it will take some time to build. I think the build process will take about, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. So I had this before on my system. So this is basically already in my Nix store. So when we head back to our virtual machine and just clear it out and we start N8N again, you can see it's making some migrations because of the new version. And now we have the version 1.63.0. And when I open my browser here, have a look here, you can see the UI also reflects the version. That's a very easy way to override a package, but this also makes it very specific because we have basically defined a new package, and in our home.nix file, we have called the package with NetN custom. An even more elegant way would be, instead of overriding the package in this way, to create an overlay which will modify the package on the fly, and the reference in Nix packages for NetN will be replaced by our overlaid package. And that has a couple of advantages. For example, when we look at Nix packages here and over NetN and we go to Nix options, you can see there's also a service available for NetN. And in this service, there is no way to specify the package. Of course, we could create an option for this service where we can specify the package, but the cleaner way would be really the overlay. So what we would do instead is we have the overlays folder in our Nix Flake here. And you can see the default.nix file in the overlay is actually divided into 3 sections. So we have additions, and in the additions section, we basically import all the custom packages we have in our packages folder. And then we have modifications. That's empty right now, and that's actually the place where we will create an overlay in order to modify Nix packages. And here we have stable packages, and that's in addition to the packages available in our Flake. So basically what we could do is, for example, we could use something like stable and then .NetN. And this would basically take the 24.05 version, which is a very old version of NetN. And let me just change the spec. In our home.nix file, I can already save NetN because we will refer to the name we have on Nix packages, and now we will create the overlay. And the overlay is basically a function which takes 2 arguments, one called pref for the previous package or the package in its actual state, and final for the package in the state after the overlay is applied. Just from the structure, we can actually keep the code we have used in our custom package here and go over here. And when we copy this into our modification sections, you can see we get a couple of errors. We will just say that NetN equals, and then we refer to the previous package that we have as an argument to this function here, and the rest will just be the override attributes function we have used before. And right now we get functions like the fetch from GitHub from the original package. So we need to prepend this with pref here. And just fix the semicolon down here. And now this overlay should be working. So just to check it, we refer to N8N as the original name we have on Nix packages. And here we have our overlay for N8N, and we replace it with the new version here. So we can save everything and try to rebuild our system. And now when we head back here, just close this one and restart initn. You can see it's working and it still has the new version here. When you have multiple overlays, this file will get cluttered very fast here. So in order to have this a little bit more organized, I would just create a new subfolder called mods for modifications. And here I make a initn.nix. And then I will just take out my function here and paste it in here and make the previous package available and just remove the semicolon here. And on the default.nix, we can just import our overlay like this. And on our default.nix, we can just import our overlay like this. So when we have multiple overlay definitions, we can just nicely line them up here. And now try to rebuild our system configuration. And of course, I need to add the new files to our Git repo. Oh, there's a little typo up here. So just do it like this. And this is building. So now we can go to NixOS options and you can see there is a service for initn available and there are some options here. So I will just go to our hosts folder, to our host name in the services directory. And I have already prepared a simple file that's basically just a simple configuration for the initn service. So we enable it with enable equals true. We open the firewall so we can reach initn from our host machine, and it's also available to all machines on the network. And here I just bypass the SSL requirement for initn because by default it will require SSL, and I have not set that up, so I will just set the initn secure cookie equals false environment variable in order to be able to use initn anyway. And of course, I have imported my new initn.nix file here, so I can just save everything and push it over to my virtual machine. And when I check for the status here, you can see initn is running, and we are running the new version of initn. And when we have a look here, you can see initn is running in the newest version here. And of course, my workflow is gone right now because I had run initn as my user. And as we are running initn as a systemd service now, this will be the root user which is running that service. So there are no workflows configured here. So as you can see, there are different ways to override packages on NixOS. And I find the overlay solution very elegant because with overlaying the package, we basically replaced some attributes on the package to achieve an update of the version of initn, and we could still refer to it from the initn service. So when we have a look at the initn service definition, you can see here that it refers to packages.initn, which is basically nix packages.initn. And through the overlay, we have replaced initn within nix packages. A good way to explain the difference between overrides and overlays is with an override, you basically override a package and you basically create a new package. And with an overlay, you modify a package on Nix packages. Of course, you could also use an overlay to add a package to Nix packages just temporarily for your Flake, so it's available. But in this case, we have completely replaced initn here. And the good part is that everything on Nix packages that is dependent on initn will use the new version we have specified. So I hope this video helps a little bit using overrides and overlays, and have fun trying it out. See you next time. Bye bye.